With writer Tony Gilroy getting more opportunities by the higher-ups over at Disney to become more involved in a handful of new Star Wars TV shows, we also have Jon and Dave that are currently crafting the end of the Mandalorian series. Jon Favreau already teased about his plans on how he wants to actually conclude the show and move on to other things, eventually speaking. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that we do know about everything related to the Star Wars roadmap and exactly what's happening currently between the higher-ups over at Disney, also known as the Disney Board, and of course, let's not forget about everyone related to creating The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka series, and more. Those two teams are heavily involved in the creative process of incorporating characters like Thrawn, Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra into the main storyline. Now, on top of all of this, what's even all the more exciting has a lot to do with what's been going on with, of course, Kathleen Kennedy, Jon Favreau, and Dave. Now, given that, of course, Jon and Dave have been really trying to handle the Star Wars universe since 2019, when they introduced The Mandalorian to the people around the world, most recently there's been a lot of problems happening with a particular Star Wars TV show that both want to actually leave. They both want to leave this project in particular. We're going to be tapping into this fully right now, and it is quite a complicated situation of what's been happening behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm. So, with that being said and all, what's even all the more intriguing about all of this, we already know that Kathleen Kennedy is working on 2 projects, creatively speaking. However, with both Favreau and Filoni already preparing to make monumental announcements at Celebration next year, Jon and Dave are currently helping out with a major Disney Star Wars project that has been having lots of trouble recently. Around 3 weeks ago, Favreau was given the opportunity to help fix the wrongs made by Kathleen Kennedy for both Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte. However, as of now, both Favreau and Filoni want to leave the Skeleton Crew project due to how much of a mess the series is right now with the show. Both Favreau and Filoni have been making some pretty big last-minute changes by including major cameos to shows such as, of course, Ahsoka, and even Grand Admiral Thrawn somehow, some way. However, the story is said to be so complicated that Favreau and Filoni are having major complications fixing and patching the wrongs made by Kathleen Kennedy that are said to break important pieces of canon in the franchise, and that Jon and Dave already want to leave the series just after coming on board for the past 2 weeks. Now, let me just pause here for a second. Now, we already talked about this before in the past, that previously Jon and Dave were trying to help out with the Acolyte. They eventually left because of a toxic environment. Now they are back with the Acolyte and also Skeleton Crew. And they already want to leave Skeleton Crew because of how taxing it is, mentally speaking, by trying to really fix things and patch things together. So, let's get down to the specifics of what's really going on here. Now, a lot of this has to do with them trying to restore things that Kathleen Kennedy broke in canon with Skeleton Crew, which she allowed, herself to actually implement into the series, and what she pushed and forced Jon Watts to do in this actual show. Now, for those of you that don't know Jon Watts, he created the Spider-Man films with Marvel, and both him and Favreau, believe it or not, are very good friends. And it has created quite a very tough situation between the two, because Jon is taking orders from Kennedy, meanwhile Favreau is actually not dealing with Kathleen Kennedy, because he's actually dealing with shows that have nothing to do with Kathleen Kennedy having control over. So basically what Favreau and Filoni are having a hard time with right now is patching specific things in canon that Kathleen Kennedy broke that have a lot to do with the sequels and even the prequel trilogy films. Now, moving on to the next thing, of course, is that Skeleton Crew, by the way, was supposed to wrap filming in November. They are still filming to this day, a lot of which has to do with the reshoots and Favreau and Filoni's involvement, and it really has been quite a turn of events to hear exactly what's been going on with including Ahsoka Tano into Skeleton Crew, throwing in Grand Admiral Thrawn, and a new region in either the galaxy or a new galaxy in general called the New Beyond. This, by the way, was created by Jon Favreau, and Jon Watts approved it. Now, this is something that is very interesting because it makes you wonder, what is the New Beyond? Well, this could very well be in reference to the acolytes of the Beyond that were supposed to be a big deal in Episode 9. Now, moving on to the next thing, alright? Filoni is described to be having many problems with how Kathleen Kennedy broke big portions of canon related to the Jedi Order in the show that created many plot holes in the series that even Dave, of all people, is having a tough time fixing. Some of which have to do with the Night of Order 66 as a flashback that was created for Skeleton Crew. John and Dave have informed the Disney board that they may leave this project soon to focus more on Mando 4 and Ahsoka Season 2, as well as other installments that are more important, and to leave it up to Jon Watts to fix Kathleen Kennedy's wrongs. So keep in mind here that even Dave Filoni is having a tough time patching these mistakes and problems created by Kathleen Kennedy, and it really comes as a big surprise because Dave is usually a guy that knows how to fix things and patch things up, and this is by far his biggest challenge. Yet, they both want to leave, they want to focus more so on the other projects, and it really makes you wonder what's going to happen with their involvement in Skeleton Crew, right? Are they going to leave next week? Are they going to leave next month? Will they even be involved in post-production? It's a big mystery right now. It's all up in the air, but regardless, they want to leave. And that tells you a lot about the show. It is, once again, after all, a Kathleen Kennedy project. She got Jon Watts, the guy who made the Spider-Man movies, under Disney, and she is forcing him to do things that he himself doesn't even want to do. So it just goes to show you that we're falling into another J.J. Abrams situation where JJ was forced to do things in Episode 9 that he himself did not want to do. By the way, he did not want to kill off Ben Solo. JJ begged Kathleen Kennedy to keep him alive, and she did not want that to happen. She wanted to close and get rid of all loose ends of the Skywalker saga, or the Skywalkers per se. So that brings us to the biggest deal here, is that Skeleton Crew is supposed to come out in June of 2023. And it may very well now be getting delayed until around the fall. It all really depends on when they wrap filming, when they wrap up post-production entirely, and how fast they can really move through this mess. So, there's a lot of things happening here, and I think there's a good chance that maybe and just maybe John and Dave will get enough work done before they just call it quits and get out of there. But they do want to leave. That is their initial plan right now, and they want to get out as soon as possible. So anyways, guys, with that being all done and said, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear